What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? I'm all hopped up on Mountain Dew this morning. I'm getting excited. I've looked at everybody's ice fishing pictures yesterday. Get everything set up here. I was looking at everybody's ice fishing pictures yesterday from Oneida and beyond. Morning. Looks like we got good fishable ice coming and going to stick around a while. I've been looking. The river's still wide open here, but that's only because it's moving. They're still draining the lake. I saw a lot of great shots from yesterday, and this week I'm working hard to get the job I'm working on finished up. This bathroom out in Sylvan Beach is gorgeous. Boy, it's coming out beautifully. I'm doing tile today, and I'm working hard to get done with everything before the weekend so I can go fishing and not worry about anything. I don't have anything else on the immediate horizon. I know that there's work out there, and I just got to get on it. But I'm waiting on my ice rods from JT Outdoors. I'm hoping to have them by the end of the week, and I'm going fishing somewhere. Good friend of mine from Instagram. I like to call him Canada Matt. He's up on Bay of Quinte. And like I said yesterday, man, he sent me pictures of walleyes all the way up to 12 pounds through the ice. Just monsters. Monsters. I was telling Courtney about it yesterday. So I grew up here in Central New York. My grandparents had a place on the St. Lawrence River. From the time I was in elementary school all the way through high school and into my, when I got home from the military. and there was really only two places Grandpa and I always talked about ever going fishing. And one was Alaska and the other was Bay of Quinte. And they both seemed to me equally far away. From where we were up in Cape Vincent, you only had to go across the St. Lawrence River to the Canadian side and then to the west, not far. And it's one of the big bays on the north shore of Lake Ontario. It's not that far away. And it is the Lake Ontario version of the hub of walleye fishing on this lake. And some people will tell you that all of the walleyes in the greater Lake Ontario and St. Lawrence River system are all descendants of that strain that lives in Bay of Quinte. And the simple fact is that there's just so many big fish up there. So that's on my list. That is one of the things that I will do this winter through the ice, and then again in the spring. My friends Mike Urema and Craig Sleeman went up there with the Next Bite guys back in December, and they motored across from Cape Vincent and then also from Henderson Harbor and zipped across. Now that's no short run; it's 15 miles across the open lake. But they went up there and they caught some fish up there during their show, during their filming for that show, which will be airing sometime later this year. But those big giant walleyes, this kid wants some right here. That'll be one of those trips that's for my grandpa and for his memory. And that's something he always wanted to do. And now as an adult, I kick myself for not forcibly making that happen back when he was young enough and healthy enough to go and enjoy it. But all those things just seemed so far away when I was younger, and not possible. And there was never enough money to do it, or there was never enough time, or you wouldn't know who to do it with or what to do when you were up there. And the world in some ways is much smaller now with all of our advances in technology. But Bay of Quinte is on my list. And all those guys yesterday, my good friend and fellow JT Pro staffer, Terry Wicks, laid a limit of walleyes out pretty quick on a night of lake yesterday here on the west end, southwest end. And that got me all hopped up, So this morning I've been working on Walleye Fest, and I've also been working on the Ice Bowl, the ice fishing event. And I didn't hear a lot of response yesterday. So I really need a good, strong show of hands in the comments section if people are interested. 3 seminars, vending, food, cash bar, Saturday night of Super Bowl weekend is what I'm looking at. And I really think this is something I want to do, and I think it's something that everybody's going to like, but I just got to see that show of hands. I'm in. So Mike, the dates are the dates of the ice fishing show. The date, it's only one day, and that is Saturday night, February 11th. The 12th is Super Bowl Sunday, so that's Super Bowl weekend. So anyway, I've been watching everybody. I'm trying to be good this week and not do anything. I've got to get this bathroom finished. My customer has been wonderful, and they've worked with me for timing. And there's nobody there, so it's not it's not like anybody's itching to get into this bathroom. There won't be anybody there till spring, but I still got to get it done and get it off my plate, and get ready for more important things like ice fishing. So I said, well, man, I'm itchy. I gotta get only wrench in your fishing tourney, etc. can be bad weather. And weather's weather, Weather doesn't bother me when I go fishing. Weather's not going to bother me when we plan an event. We'll mark our day on the calendar, and I don't even think about the negatives. Because if you start doing that, there's an unlimited list of reasons why you shouldn't do something. And there's only one reason why you should, and that's because I want to. So I don't really worry about any of those things because they'll all work themselves out, and everybody is way more adaptable than we give them credit for. So it's spring. It could be volatile. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is. Don't know. We'll plan accordingly. But we're gonna rock out. We're gonna have fun. So let's stick to what we're talking about here for a few minutes. I thought I'd go through. Actually, for me, I thought I'd go and get some of my ice boxes out, some of my ice tackle out, and go through a few things and show you. This is going to be a different. You guys are going to laugh at me about this. I've ice fished an idol a lot in my life, going back to being in high school with my buddies to doing it, semi-hardcore these last couple of years. Most of my ice fishing has been done for perch, for one thing. The number of walleyes I've caught through the ice is limited, and it's been a while. I don't necessarily target them. I haven't. I'm going to. Like I say, most of my ice fishing has been perch fishing. I love slamming perch through the ice. And in the old days, when I was still a guide years ago, in the wintertime, me and a couple of my friends who were also guides, when we were out of work and not fishing the Salmon River, we would go and market fish those perch up in 3 Mile and Chameau and up that way. And you'd get out into that 18 to 25 foot range. And, we didn't have the advanced electronics that we have now. We didn't have underwater cameras. We were looking at maps, and we were walking out until we found bottom. Until we found soft bottom. And up there, you had to get out a ways until you come off that rock, and then you'd get into that area where it was all mud bottom. And that's where those perch live. And those big schools of Lake Ontario perch, a lot of guys out there have done it open water and through the ice. And I mean, those perch can go, on average 11 to 12 inches. And you can easily fill buckets quickly up there with perch of that size. And so that's what we used to do all the time. And one of my favorite ways to chase those big perch up there in that deeper water was, a high-low rig or whatever you want to call it. But I would fish any number of things, but this little guy right here, that was numero uno. And so much the same as, and that's a Swedish pimple. It's nothing revolutionary. It's been catching fish forever. And so depending on how aggressive the bite is, how fast the bite is, how deep a water you're fishing, you could fish that in multiple sizes. For me up there, especially when we were market fishing, the biggest key was being able to get it back down to the bottom as fast as you could, and then get ready. And so I would use the Swedish pimple. That's a bigger size. That orange is killer. Smaller size with a plastic on the bottom. That's I believe that is a Soko Baits hammerhead right there on the bottom. It's old and lost its color. It's no fault of the plastic. So that big jigging spoon on the bottom works just like you would think of a drop shot rig. And boom, this is your weight that's on the bottom. Now, those big perch, you'd lay this right on the bottom, and you could put spikes on there. Perch eyes up north was always my thing. Nowadays, a lot of guys will buy minnows and just pinch the heads off and put a minnow head on that. So that's laying on the bottom like this. And on a tight line, up 6-8 inches, and then maybe another 6-8 inches. Sometimes I would run one jig or fly above it, and sometimes I would run two. But you would feel those perch down there. So you'd have one on already, and then you drop your tip down, and and a lot of times, boy, it was double city up there all the time. Now, the last couple of years, I fished up there with my nephew, who has a couple hot spots in 3 Mile Bay, and he has access to the bay right there through a family friend or through a relative. And we've got into them up there in 3 Mile, but we haven't crushed them like I used to do out off the mud bottom, off like Point Salubrious or Point Peninsula out that way. And I know that area up there is incredibly popular with ice guys. This year, it's close to home, and I have a little more access this year to some areas, and I'm going to be fishing where I fish open water a lot this year too. I want to really try. I've never really ice fished that Western Flat, and I'm going to this year. Some of the different ways and different sizes that I will rig up these Swedish pimples is like these here, and tie a small dropper line with make that stop moving, with a single hook that you would either bait with a plastic, with something real, with something live, in different sizes. I'm a huge fan of Swedish pimples since day one when it comes to the ice fishing world. Um, I got tons of them rigged up in all different configurations. I am a huge fan of the droppers and multiple rigs, especially when perch fishing. And some of this stuff I've never tried out on a night lake. I'm sure I'm positive that it'll work. There's no reason why it wouldn't. So those are what I would be fishing on the bottom. I got a bunch of them that are all tangled together. We're not going to go through that right at the moment. So that's my high-low heavy metal presentation. And also there are multiple spoons that I'll fish down there as a vertical jigging spoon. The Lure Jensen Crocodile, one of the most versatile spoons out there. You can cast it, you can retrieve it, you can jig it, you can vertical jig it, and you can ice fish it. Comes in a myriad of colors and sizes. Great to have down there on the bottom, because that heavy metal on the bottom is giving you flash and it's giving you thump, 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 thump. Something else that I get into quite a bit are the different size of Phoebes. Also, an incredible ice fishing, vertical jigging. The amount of action you come up every time you come up on that jig. And when you're fishing out in big open water, you might not have that school of perch or that walleye, that school of walleyes directly underneath you, and you've got to bring them to you. You can do that with vibrating baits. I bought these last year. I didn't even really fish them, honestly, but all they are is micro size rattle traps with a little BB inside them. So you're getting that brrr, brrr. Now, this year, obviously, I plan to do a lot more jigging with my blade baits, with my I1 blade baits. So on that high-low rig, you're doing your Swedish pimple on the bottom, and then I'm putting in any number of things here. I'll show you real quick. So this is the basic rig, Where's my pen? That's your pimple or whatever jigging spoon you want on the bottom. And then these up here can be any number of things. So when I say that, what do I mean by that? Well, some things I've had great success with are all of the micro jigs. These are dressed with calf tail on 16th and 32nd ounce heads. They're sparsely dressed. You can fish them just like they are. That tail has great action. This could be marabou just as simply as it could be calf tail. You can fish that just like it is with a simple, you can do a dropper loop, or you can tie the drop shot knot, which is just a polymer knot that you then run the line back through the eye. Now, with an upright vertical jig, you're better off using, with the way that the eye position is on this head, you're much better off using a dropper loop on this. And it gives it a little bit more motion. So those are my ties, but that's nothing fancy. That's just a little bit of color and a little bit of flash down there. In the old days when I had my tackle shop, when I had the River Rat tackle shop, I sold exclusively, well, no, I shouldn't say exclusively, but I sold Caddy Jigs. Sorry. And at the time, the original owner, Mark Norbert, did all of these in his house. And Caddy Jigs come in a number of different sizes and colors. Let me see if I can find you my, yeah, there's my favorite right there. So that's just a modified teardrop. Now this color has always been the color for me. Now it looks white and orange. When you hit this with the glow, this is what they call the stop and go. That white glows green, and that off-color orange glows red. So it looks like a red and green, a stop and go, like a stoplight. That color in anything they make is awesome. Bright sun, cloudy, clear ice, snow-covered ice. I've never found a time where they wouldn't eat those. So that comes in. So that's a teardrop. They have the little fatter profile teardrop. Again, you can see same body style in two different color or two different sizes. This is more a demon right there. This would be the rat or the mouse body. Now with these, with all of these jigs, you can still tie that loop knot right there through that eye, and now your line would be straight like this, and here's your jig. That rat comes in. That rat comes in multiple sizes, and here it's paired with a Mackie Plastics straight worm rigged wacky style. That gives you a great little motion in the water. Let's see if I look on the other side of this box. Your deeper water horizontal presentations. They have a weight balanced horizontal jig, and they make their jigging spoons and they make their bigger jigs in 3 different sizes. All of which full silver flash on back. Deep water perch and walleye. See the size of that hook in the opening right there in that hook gap? That's perfect to allow you to put a full minnow or just a minnow head on there without impeding that gap and how well it gets into the jaw and sets the hook on these fish. So that's how I rig. That's how I'm rigging if I'm using the high-low rig. That's some of the stuff I'm using now. These, I can't tell you where I bought these years ago, and I don't know if anybody is still making these, but this perch eye jig, it's just a sticker. Colored on one side, eye reflective on the other, and then I would also then go and put either a real perch eye on that hook or like a Soco Baits plastic eye that they make, which I've had tremendous success with, and so is a lot of people. Nick Sokolowski over at Soco Baits does a great job. The products they put out, there's a lot of attention to detail in it, and and he's a local guy. You know, I've known Nick since he was young. I met his dad, Dave, who at the time um, was making amazing high end goose calls. I don't know if they still do that anymore, but um, I still have one of them, and I've killed a lot of geese with it. So I've known that family for a long time, and it's always nice to be able to shine a light on some things that other people are doing around here. Um, Also, Nick, you can get a hold of him for a guided trip, open water or ice, here on Oneida and a couple other bodies of water he's been working now too. So that's my high-low rig. Now, I will always have a pure finesse ultralight rig, whether I think there's going to be panfish in the area or whether the perch get finicky. Um, and that for me, when I go to that setup, I'm usually fishing one individual jig, and it's almost always a tungsten jig. Now this one right here, I bought these last year, and it's got a little jewel, a little faceted jewel glued right into the nose of it. Let's see if I can get a little better visual on that. See that right there? And man, it almost glows in front. Now, I'm not going to fish this in 25 foot of water. I suppose I could, but I'm not gonna. It just takes too long and I don't have the patience to wait for it to get down there. But anything inside of 15 feet, especially perch that get a little fussy, I'll tip that with 3 or 4 spikes, live spikes, or possibly a Mackie, which I didn't bring any of my plastics in right now, so you'll have to take my word for it. But that presentation, that single tungsten jig right there is deadly. Deadly. Panfish and perch. Now, I've never tried it for walleyes. There's no reason a walleye wouldn't come in and eat it, but I'm not going to go fish that for walleyes. If they happen to be around, they happen to be around, and that's that. So, funny, touching all my stuff, it makes me want to get out there. I'm itching. The wing's feeling much better with every passing day. I'm itching to get out there as soon as I get my stuff. As soon as I get my stuff, like I'm looking for this weekend to get out there and really start filming some good ice content. And I just need to set the hook. A couple times. That'll work the kinks out of this old shoulder fast. So another thing too that I do fish a lot of are jigging wrap style baits. This is my lake box, my open water box, and so I don't really have. Well, here's a couple of the smaller ones. This little guy has been responsible for an awful lot of perch and a few walleyes. That is an AC Shiner jigging shad. That's the one. That's the 1.5 inch size right there. Deadly. I do also fish the Rapala jigging wrap style. I'll fish the smaller Northland. I've never tried those moonshines that I like in open water through the ice, but there's no reason why they won't work. I do like to fish the smaller jigging wraps. Now this one you can see, this is leftover from last year, but there's one of those, and it's dirty, so don't hold it against anybody. That's one of those Soko perch eyes, the plastic one. And I'll mess around with underneath hooks, anywhere from taking that underhook off completely to putting different attractors underneath. Sometimes I'll cut the nose hook off. Um, it all depends. You can modify a jig and wrap 1,000 different ways. It just depends on what you're going to do with it. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm excited. I'm itching to get out there, and I'm ready to go smack some fish on the ice and take you guys along with me. I know everybody's been itching, and for a lot of people, they've had their boats put away for a long time. There's a part of me that wished I would have kept mine out longer, but it was getting sketchier than I wanted to be with something that I'm never 100% sure if it's always going to run. So, all right, let's run down real quick. Let's take a few questions, comments, and Derek Dubois. We want walleye. Yeah, you and me both, buddy. I want giant walleye. Tried one of Stephen Eddy. Tried one of those bad boy baits. Damn, they have a lot of action. Yeah, they do. If you're looking to have a lure call fish in, and sometimes you might put that blade bait down there or something with a heavy vibration, and just jig it, for a minute or two, especially if you have a camera or electronics. Those fish may not come in and bite that, but it's almost like using it as an attractor. You got it down there. It's a decoy. You got it down there. Brings that school in. Then you put down your finesse stuff, or then you put down the stuff they're more likely to eat right off the bat. But I'm excited to fish the blades through the ice this year. That's something I didn't do the last 2 years. I never really thought about it. And again, I wasn't really chasing walleyes either. Although you've seen on all my videos, I mean, those blades, I've caught perch that are that big, and the bigger perch love them, absolutely love them. Same with the sunfish. So there's no reason why you couldn't still through the ice catch fish with those, and we're gonna definitely put that theory to the test this year. Watch the guy fill a bucket down here in quick order on a sabiki rig. Yeah, so a sabiki rig is the same situation. It's just those hooks, and some of those sabiki rigs will have 6-8 hooks on them. And check your local regulations for how many hook points you can use and one line and all that stuff. But my buddy Mo, in the old days when we market fished, that's all he fished was a sabiki rig with just a bell sinker on the bottom just to anchor it, and they were hooks segmented staggered every 6 or 8 inches up the line, and all that sabiki rig really is just a little piece of reflective tape on both sides, cut at an angle, cut on both sides of that hook, and it's taped on, and it just gives it a little something to see. And you can tip them with bait, whatever. It doesn't matter. The possibilities are endless. The beauty of fishing is the possibilities are endless, and no one can ever tell you that will never work, because they don't know and you don't know, and you'll never know until you try something. So I think fishermen are the great inventors, and curiosity didn't kill the cat as a fisherman. Curiosity fuels the fire. And hey, will they bite this? Will they go there? Will they do this? That's why I love fishing. It's a never-ending puzzle that we work on and figure out on a daily basis. So what day is today? I keep thinking today's Wednesday. It's not. It's Tuesday. So Monday night, last night. I lost real quick. I lost my bet on the Cowboys Bucks game. My guess is Tom Brady should be. I can't imagine the guy's broke, so I got to think that might have been his last game in the NFL, because he looked terrible. He looked lost and terrible. And even my wife said, as she was watching it, she's like, he should have retired long ago. I don't know why somebody like that wouldn't have went out on a high note, and why you would let yourself and your legacy. People remember a lot of what the last thing was they saw. And if the last thing they saw is you chucking the ball all over the place, in a couple of those passes, he wasn't within 15 yards of a receiver when they hit the ground. Very un-Tom Brady-like. On the other side of things is if you're a Cowboys fan, hey, good win. You finally, maybe got that monkey off your back. The running game looked good outside. Who's the other kid? Not Zeke, but the other kid that was running the ball looked really, really strong. Prescott looked strong in decision making, throwing the ball, when to run it. But how would you like to be that kicker for? How would you like to be that kicker for the Cowboys? I'm surprised Jerry Jones didn't call down from the press box and fire him right there after the second miss. He missed, and I didn't, and I went to bed. I didn't watch the rest of the game. I didn't really care at that point. It wasn't close. In the time I watched, he missed 4 extra points. 4. I don't know the last time a kicker's missed 4 in his career or in a whole year, let alone in one game, back to back to back. They scored 4 touchdowns. The first 4 touchdowns they scored, they only got 6 points for each of them. And I just, anybody remember Chuck Knobloch, who was an outstanding second baseman for the Twins and then came to the Yankees towards the end of his career and during that great Yankees run? All of a sudden, there was some mental block. He couldn't throw the ball in the air from second base to first base. Anybody remember that? I mean, he'd throw the ball into the dirt, and it was this. It wasn't the inability to do it. That guy, that kicker for the Cowboys, has kicked tens of thousands of practice field goals and extra points, and the look on that kid's face, I felt bad for him. He's going to be the butt of every football joke they can have. And what if you were the Cowboys and it came down to a last-second field goal from this kid last night? Would you have had any confidence in him whatsoever? Would he have had any confidence in himself? Man, that was a tough one. That was a tough one to watch. Tough one to watch. And I lost on Syracuse Hoops last night in Miami. Boy, the boys played a great game for about 17 minutes. Those last 3 minutes of the game, that freshman point guard of ours, Judah Mintz, Judah's got to learn quickly. He's got the talent. He's a little unorthodox. He's not a great shooter. And he's not a great driver, even though obviously that's what he's made his living on so far. I can think of 2 plays specifically that dearly cost us that game last night, where he put himself into a situation that he wasn't getting out of. And he's looking for a call to bail him out, but he didn't get it. And he turned the ball over in 2 critical situations. And part of that problem when he did that was it took the rest of the team out of the flow that they had been in, because Gerard looked really good. God, this is going back. I almost said Etan Thomas. That's how long ago that was. Jesse Edwards looked outstanding. Boy, he catches the ball. He rebounds. He's aggressive. He's got great hands. Gerard and Edwards had a 1-2 punch game going for a while in the second half, and we built an 11-point lead, and then gave it back quick. We have all the tools on this team, but guys got to know their role and stay in their lane. And that freshman point guard, I'm sure, has a lot of upside. But boy, you could point the finger at a couple things he did last night that were out of character, unnecessary, and cost us dearly. So that's my 2 seconds on sports from last night. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. We went 40 minutes. That's plenty. You guys have a great day. It's Tuesday. I don't know what that means. 2 for Tuesday. So do something twice. Do 2 things that are good for yourself and see if 2 things come back to you. That's a big deal. We're in the winter doldrums. Don't let it get you down. It's just January. Not a big deal. But January's half over already. So when we don't have any snow on the ground, we've had pretty decent weather. So keep your tip up. Thanks, everybody. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.